Okay.
I'm waiting for you to get going.
I'd like to call the order the Public Health, Safety, and Judiciary Committee meeting. It appears everybody returned from the break, so the roll call is the same. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of, October 12th, 2006,
November 9th?
November 9th, 2006.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No, that passes. Next item is an ordinance repealing section 15.1809 of chapter 15, the article 18 of the City of Wooddale Municipal Code, and inserting an amendment section 15.1809.
Alderman, with regards to this proposed ordinance amendment, it's just to approach two defects that were in the complaint based on a recent court case that came out of the Northern District on advice of attorney. The staff is recommending that you approve this for recommendation for adoption by the council. It has to do exactly as stipulated in paragraph 2 with caretaking and discretion used by the police officer in the actual seizing of the property. Once again, this is a caretaking issue, and not that we were not doing this, but all we are doing this now is memorializing this in the ordinance itself.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. Oh,
Opposed?
there was a question? Mayor, on a question?
I just have one question. Is the language correct that we're actually repealing, that we're not just amending? Because if we repeal
well,
it,
we're-
doesn't
we're-
that
we're repeat-
reverse everything we did under the old?
And then we're adopting it as submitted here. So there's two changes that are made in the ordinance. We're repealing it, and then we're adopting it as submitted so that we can keep it nice and clean.
So you should have two motions.
Two motions?
Two motions there should be then. One should be to repeal, and then the second would be to
Adopt.
adopt.
But the
make
question
it
is,
as a
if you
motion, Alderman
repeal the
Thompson?
old one, all the collections you've done under the old one, do you then have to refund it?
I-
Aren't you just amending a section?
That's a legal question, and once again, as I was explained to by the attorney, it wouldn't have any substantive effect on it. All we're doing is including the caretaking provision and the discretion by our police officers. Everything else is exactly the same.
So
But
basically,
this is, I'm sorry, this is Patrick's drafting then? or
That is
this
correct.
Okay, fine.
so then it should,
Alderman Talame?
so it should stay then as one motion and it's as an amendment to the administrative tow ordinance as stated. And that's basically what it is, and inclusive of everything else. Right,
Okay,
yeah.
so that's the motion.
Okay,
been
it's
seconded.
passed, and it was passed, so it's
Yeah, all those in favor?
academic.
Aye.
Aye again.
Opposed? Okay. Next item, report and recommendation on the Ward 4 parking restrictions as far as the cost and implementation. Chief?
This report requires no action from the committee. This is just an update. This came to the police department from both Alderman and Ward 4 after meeting with their constituents. It's pretty self-explanatory. What we're doing is expanding the pilot program, which was instituted last year in the area from Wooddale Road, or correction, from Walnut to Commercial, Irving Park Road to Catalpa Street, to the entire ward. The diagram is depicted. We'll set forth what side of the streets will be posted with no parking this side of street signs. Also, as attached, you can see that we have itemized the cost for the implementation of this program, and I've been assured by the City Service Director, Gary Holm, that this is within the budget and can be performed within this year's constraints.
Great. Question?
Okay,
This will not require an amendment to our parking ordinance. This can be done underneath the signature of the city manager as per our his authority.
Alderman Coles, you have a statement?
I think this is a good idea, very good idea. Because some of the streets over there are pretty narrow. And if you park on both sides, I don't think the fire truck could get through.
Once again, this comes from the aldermen themselves of listening to their constituents. And I can tell you that from our pilot program that we instituted, we had not had one negative comment with regards to that over the last year.
Alderman Subak?
How did, how was it decided as to which side? Is it not while you know
Basically-
the alderman, or do you do it, should it alternate from even odd days?
The controlling factor was the location of the fire hydrants. Seeing that parking within so many feet of a fire hydrant would be illegal, we just took it, that was the controlling factor on which side of the street would be included in this ban.
Thank you.
Anything further, Alderman Towery?
Yeah, I just like to make a comment that, one of the reasons that we're looking at doing this is previously stated, the majority of the roads in the Fourth Ward, the only street that I don't see that this would work on, well, actually, we've already got it set that way, never mind. The way this will work, okay, is it's going to help the residents that actually live on the streets as well. It's not just a question of the fire vehicles being able to pass. It's the actual residents of the streets now have to dart back and forth between cars on both sides just to try and get down their street. So I think that this is a very positive thing. I know we've tried it in several places. I know we already have it in place on the west side of the city in Grove and in Orchard and School Street, and it works very well. So, I mean, I think that this is, something that the residents will appreciate, especially if, God forbid, but if they ever need, somebody to get down the street quickly to their home. So I'm very glad we can go ahead and do this. And I thank Alderman Wesley for his support in doing this as well.
Once again, this requires no action by the committee. It's just for information because this did come to the way of the police department from this committee.
Okay, thank you, Chief. There's no more questions on that. Next item is items to be considered at future meetings. However, on the first item, A, smoking ban in the city, Alderman Shockey would like to make a short report on a seminar or a meeting he went to considering that.
Yeah, if I may. It was supposed to be scheduled for tonight and wasn't, but I was going to leave it go, but as long as the Herald jumped the gun and put an article in the paper today, I'd like to explain what it was about, if I may.
Go right ahead.
I'm going to pass these down. I did attend a November 3rd workshop sponsored by the DuPage County Health Department for DuPage County and all the municipalities in DuPage County. And the reason was to obtain feedback on a sample ordinance and implementation timetable for DuPage County and municipalities to utilize a resource when considering a smoking ban within their communities. It was to discuss health effects of the secondhand smoke, the economic impact, DuPage County smoking statistics, and the smoke-free activity both in DuPage County and regionally. The Illinois Clean Air Act prior to 2005 was limited in scope and where public places needed to have a smoke-free area, and local health departments handled the complaints on this. Following up was just education. There were no penalties. Only home rule communities could have any penalties on it. The act was amended January 1st of 2006 to allow local municipalities to enact more stringent indoor laws, air laws that the state regulation more than the state regulates. 6 states in the United States have now complete bans, and 11 others have restrictions on smoking. Some of the facts, if I may, real quickly, is that the Board of Health has statistics that the leading cause of lung cancer is secondhand smoke. Secondhand smoke is responsible for the early deaths of at least 65,000 Americans annually. In the workplace, the technicality does not exist, and toxins in air from smoking, there's nothing available right now to stop it. The trouble is there are economic impacts to having a non-smoking ban. That's why they had this distinguished professor of economics from the University of Chicago at the meeting as well. The county numbers are that in 1992, the city of Madison and several surrounding towns in Dane County in Wisconsin passed smoke-free restaurant ordinances. The impact of these found that between 1992 and 1997, per capita restaurant revenues actually rose at a higher rate than the county did in the rest of the state. Employment in restaurants grew faster than any other Madison County. The DuPage County statistics are 81.6% of DuPage County residents do not smoke, and 67.9% of those responding to a risk factor survey made to make restaurants smoke-free said that they should have a smoking ban, and this would not limit the frequency of their eating out. The important thing here is, like for Christie's and so forth, not to have a disadvantage economically. Chicago made their smoking ban effective January 2006. Cook County is making their effective ban in March 2007. And the state of Illinois is hosting a hearing before the Senate to consider a non-smoking ban for the state. But in the meantime, we don't have anything now. The county is a non-home rule county, so they can only do what they can in non-incorporated areas, and they're doing that now. They're passing a resolution asking the state to ban smoking throughout public buildings and restaurants, but they're also creating a model ordinance for incorporated areas as well as unincorporated areas. Now let me pass this out. They will be having public hearings. They'll be having a town hall meeting. They'll be having a vote on the ordinance, and they're hoping for an enactment on July 1st, 2007. Now, the whole idea is that they're going to provide us with a model ordinance that they know is legal, that we don't have to worry about court cases or anything. And they're hoping that all the communities in DuPage County will adopt this non-smoking ordinance about the same time, in July 1st of 2007. So for us and all DuPage County communities, the smoking ban ordinance as a model and it'll be all passed at the same time, hopefully. Included in what I passed out to you is a list of potential smoke-free variations that we can take a look at between now and next year and decide whether we want to allow smoking, for instance, in private clubs or in bowling alleys or in nursing homes or whatever. But it's just to give you an update on what the county is doing, how they're trying to help us by providing us with the materials to pass our own ordinance. And again, hopefully all of the communities in DuPage County will have this ordinance in effect about the same time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Only question I would have, Alderman Shockey, is when do you expect these items from the county to come in so we have some idea of when we can put it at a future meeting? Or
We
should
do
just
have,
go-
I passed out a resolution to the state talking about restaurants right now, but July 1st is their goal, and they'd like us to follow up on it. The County Board of Health would like us to follow up on it on the following month, so they all go into effect within a month or two time period.
Question is, when would you like to see this come to committee?
When we get the full ordinance from them
Which you
and
don't
have
know
a chance to take a look at it.
Okay, so
So we
we'll
can
just have
make
it
any
held off until
variations.
that comes in.
Pardon me?
We'll have it held off until that comes in then?
Yep.
Okay.
But we can do the resolution sometime, beginning of next year to the state, asking the state to do it because they are considering it now.
Okay.
Alderman Subak?
I think that if the county's gonna wanna turn around from, if they're gonna pass in July and say we want everybody to do it in August, I think, it might be good to be a little bit more proactive and actually bring it before then, so we can get the input from the residents, from the business community, from some of our restaurant owners, from some of the bars in town, and have that information beforehand so that come July, if they pass this, we are prepared and we can address those concerns in August. Otherwise, my guess is there'll be some outcry from the businesses about this issue, as there has been in other communities, and that if we only have a time from July to August, that if we have hearings from August to September, October, next, it'll be another year that'll pass before you actually tweak the ordinance for Wooddale and get it passed. So I commend you for going to that meeting and trying to push this forward, but I would say we shouldn't wait till July to actually open up the discussion and dialogue. Maybe do that come, February-ish, so that we have the input from the other community.
If we can do the resolution sometime in February, for instance, and then start the process on public hearings, it would be a good idea, yes. Took the words out of my mouth. Any other questions? Hopefully, we're on our way. Thank you.
Okay, the only other item that we have to consider is wastewater disposal, not wastewater, waste disposal container program that we've already been touching on. We're gonna have to delay that because it needs some more facts, correct? Okay, anything else anybody wants to bring up in the future?
I think that waste, the more I've heard after the committee meeting, is that I would like to have that brought back, if we can bring that back in January or February at the latest, because I've heard from our minute taker about some of the positives of Itasca. I've heard now that you're not locked into the 90-gallon, that you can have smaller containers if you have a smaller family or a senior citizen. So, and I've heard Itasca does it as optional program. So certainly with those additional things, it would be nice to do it sooner than later.
So, Mr. Manager, you would bring in our disposal company to give a presentation perhaps?
Yes, we will schedule that.
Okay. Anything else from anyone? Hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion.
Call the Public Works meeting to order for December 14, 2006. Let the record reflect the same members are present. Make a motion to approve the minutes of November 9, 2006. Is there a second on the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next is item number 4. This is the report and recommendation of 2006 roadway program pay estimate number 6. This is for the payment of to R.W. Dunneman. This is for the reconstruction of Iroquois Trail, Murray Lane, Montclair Lane, and the resurfacing of Prospect Avenue and Station Drive. It's pay request number 6. Make a motion to approve pay request number 6 to R.W. Dunneman in the amount of $253,898.62. Is there a second
Second?
on the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next,
Opposed, one opposed.
one opposition. Next item is item number 5. It's a report recommendation, 2006 roadway program change order number 3. We had our initial change orders of 1 and 2 resulted in a reduction of cost of $20,326.38. Then what comes forward is a change order number 3. This is a change order against us, or for additional $47,203.98. Before I do a motion, I'd like to kind of go through with Gary some of the highlights. I think pages 2 and 3 are the keys to see what some of these changes are. And the first one I have, Gary, is the large ticket item that is $14,875. It's force account number 7. Sanitary sewer 8-inch removal and replacement. It said sewer and selection services were lowered to resolve conflict with storm sewer. First question is, why didn't the engineers determine this initially when the plans were drawn?
This occurred at roughly the intersection of Murray and Montclair. This was a case where fireside services, or services for homes on the west side of Montclair, were in conflict with the proposed or the new storm sewer. When you do a roadway project and you televise the sanitary sewer, you know the location of those services because you can tell where they come into the main line. but you don't necessarily know the elevation of those services. For example, they could leave the main line at a very slight angle, or they could leave the main line at a big angle, and they could be, this high elevation or this high elevation. So at the design phase, you won't know what elevation those services are until you physically go out and dig in the field. In this case, those services were in conflict with the storm sewer, so this change order was to go back and readjust the sanitary, the mainline sanitary, so we could get those services to clear the storm sewer.
So in your professional opinion, that's something that couldn't have been caught ahead of time until you start digging?
No, with with Farside Services, you won't be able to tell.
The next item I was concerned about was 21. It's repair of a mismarked 8-inch sanitary sewer. Julie was off. Julie, aren't they responsible when they mismark something that we can seek reimbursement from Julie for the payment of that?
This was, yes, I mean, to generically answer your question, yes. This was a case where the NICOR line was mismarked and yes, you are right generically. It's never hit me that we would go back after NICOR for this particular.
I thought you go after Julie.
Well, Julie's just an agency. Julie is just a clearinghouse.
I think Julie pays, though.
No, the locating company, in this case, NICOR's locating company, would be the one who would be responsible for paying. Julie's just the intermediary, if you will. So in this case, for $757, we would have to pursue it back through NICOR because it was their locating company that mismarked.
And wouldn't we want,
Like I said, the thought
Yeah.
never even entered my head until this evening. You make a very good point.
I mean,
certainly
I don't want to
couldn't-
try to create more work for you for $750, but I remember last year we couldn't get you a new chair because the budget was tight and, every dollar counts. So why wouldn't we go
Nah,
back
I-
to,
You make a very good point. I think you're right. I think we look at pursuing that one.
the other questions I had were water main break repairs. These are items like number 8 through 14. I guess these are water main breaks that happened during the construction that was going on.
We did experience some water main breaks on Montclair prior to construction. I mean, over the last several years.
That's one of the reasons we did the
It's
project.
one of the reasons we did the project. I think this shows a little bit even better example of how bad the condition of that water main was, and that we had a number of breaks during the course of construction just due to the vibrations of the construction project. The decision was made, and obviously we're equipped. We do water main breaks on a regular basis. The decision was made, however, to have the contractor do these repairs simply because of staffing on our end. We were down one person all summer, and at times we were down even 2 people. And so I think the decision was that we simply let the contractor, he's out there, his forces are out there, and let him do that work.
Okay, and I agree with that decision because when you look at what we got charged, it wasn't
No, it
outright.
wasn't.
And typically for staff time, that's usually overtime because it seems like always the breaks happen on Sundays, they happen at night, and so my guess is that's usually above and beyond the normal 40-hour work week for the public work employees. I think my last question was, do you have the numbers as to where we're at with the original contract amount, where we're at with the what was budgeted, and what this change order will do with respect to what was budgeted and contracted, knowing that the change order, the net amount is 1.22% of the contract?
The 06-07 budget includes $2,215,000 for this project. The current change order, as stated, actually brings us slightly above the original contract value.
$2,226,000.
Yes,
So that is
approximately $11,000 over budget as of today's date. No, the net's, the new contract price is $2,226,000. Oh, was one of their documents, yeah, I think that's, and I'd have to run the math here real quick, but I believe that that's incorrect. I believe the narrative on the prior page is what is correct.
Yeah, that number's lower, so.
So to answer your question, though, it is anticipated that there will be a change order number 4, and that change order number 4 will result in the final contract value being very close to the original contract value. We will probably be slightly under the original contract value, but we will not.
Because they're calculating the amount of materials used.
Right, we're still having to do a final balancing change order, and it's anticipated that we will go slightly below the original contract value.
And even if we were $11,000 over on a $2.2 million job, that's less than 1%.
Exactly.
Alderman Wesley?
I have two. Number 18, crew standby shutdown, 1,000? What was that? 17, I'm sorry, count 17.
That was, if I read their description properly, and obviously I don't remember every single day of construction out there, the details of it.
Remove
But
that
reading their
crew.
description, it would be that their crew had to wait for the water main shutdown. So, and I gotta see how many hours they have.
So,
Well, yes, you pay for a contractor on standby. I mean, waiting for, various things. And when the contractor shows up out there, you're paying him if he's not able to work. That's a
Okay.
pretty common thing.
the other one, let's go to the last one, street pavement remove. We didn't know we had to remove that pavement?
No, that got seriously damaged during the road construction. It probably should have been part of the original project.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Juniper, I did Juniper when I was with Bennis back in 99 or 98. I can't remember what the exact year was.
Okay.
It was right before I left Bennis. So Juniper was in good condition. Juniper was not part of the original scope of this project because it was only 7 years old or 8 years old.
Okay,
Okay. When the force main went in for the Woods Lift Station project, they, as part of their augering for that force main, actually caused damage to Juniper in, I believe it was 3, if not 4 locations. Okay, so the force main contract, as part of that project, caused damage to Juniper.
So-
Looking at it from, go ahead.
okay, let me ask, if they did the damage, then why aren't they being charged for the damage?
Well, what we did is this, we are accounting for that cost on the Woods Lift Station project, okay? But it's cheaper for us to have Dunneman come in and do it as a roadway contractor who was out there paving anyways, than it was to have the Juniper project do it. So we tried to.
I understand that, but are we getting this money back from the people that damaged that road?
Through the
Yes.
Woods Lift Station
Okay.
project, yeah. I just was looking at the big picture and used both contractors to accomplish the
That's
purpose.
fine, but.
Alderman Coles?
All right, also on Juniper, you had a water main break too, on the corner
At
of
Central.
Central and,
Yep,
and
at Central and
Juniper.
Juniper. And that one was on
And-
us, obviously.
Yeah, that was on the city.
Yeah.
And on the standbys, they had a lot of standbys by Narcor because the gas lines were only a foot under the ground and they thought they were deeper. And every time they dug a ditch, bang, they would hit a gas main. And they had to have them out, I know, about 6, 7 times to fix them.
So we can
And that
penalize
is
for
also a
standby.
typical situation in
Yes, yeah.
construction. That's not atypical.
Carrie, one other question. Was the water service installation at 127 Iroquois? I'm assuming that's not the new house that was going up and that the city's not paying to tap in water to a new construction of a home there? But I don't know the address of that new home.
I can look into that. I'll follow up on that for you.
You
because I
know,
don't know the address to the new home.
And if it's not a new home and it was a home that maybe was on a well before and they decided to use this opportunity, again, would that be a city charge to pay for?
If it's a house that's on a well right now and we decided to use this opportunity to put in the water service, it will be paid for by the property owner at the time that they elect to hook up to the city. 'cause they'll
But-
pay a special tap-on fee.
Right, but when I look at the description, it talks about water service installation. Water department required 1.5-inch service at 127 Iroquois. Long service. I'm assuming long service means from,
Far side of the street,
all the way across to.
yeah.
So that should be recaptured. That should be paid by.
Whoever that property owner is, when they pay their tap-on fees, there's actually a separate, not just a typical tap-on fee, there's actually a separate tap-on fee
Okay.
that accounts for water services like that.
If we could just make sure that it gets followed through on, I guess. Any other questions? If not, I'd make a motion to approve change order number 3 in the amount of $47,203.98. Is there a second?
Second.
On the question, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? One opposition, motion carries. Next is item number 6. This is the report and recommendation for the vehicle lift system purchase. We have the existing truck lift in the Public Works facility is 17-plus years old. It has the lift has a underground hydraulic leak and is inoperable. The cost estimates to repair this is in excess of $18,000. We budgeted $60,000, so we went out for bid for a new system, and the staff's recommendation that the lowest responsible bidder was Interstate Lift and Equipment Company, in an amount of $32,925 for the Patriot brand. Before we do the motion, Gary, you've talked at times of possibly shifting Public Works building a new building or expanding. Is this this is portable? Where if you ever did get a different Public Works building, could this be moved to that building?
Yes, this new lift system is completely portable.
Okay. Alderman Coles is studying, and I'm sure I'll have a question on it.
No,
Alderman Wesley?
I have a question. On the lift station, I noticed that that was not the lower bidder of this project. But it says, however, will not in our specs. Well, you threw a company out that didn't do our specs, and now we allowing another company to get this contract that's gave us something extra, which is nice, not in our specs. And the other thing is I have included material spec sheets for your info as well. I don't have that in front of me, so.
Well, I carbon copied you on this memo because it was from Bruce to me and kind of gave a summary of the bids that were received. When I put this in the packet, I did not give you the full, all the spec sheets. I have those with me tonight.
Well, the drawback I have I mean, that's fine, but the problem is you deny a company because it wasn't in our specs, and now we allowing a company just because they added something extra in their specs. Because they have something that no one else has. How do you know these other outfits don't have that other stuff?
Well, in that particular case, with regards to what you're speaking of, they don't. That's proprietary to the company that we're recommending.
I mean, do you know for a fact that these other companies don't have it?
Yes, that's proprietary to the company that we're recommending, so that they don't even offer the option.
Alderman Coles?
Gary, is this a drive-on or is it a frame type hoist? It's 4 posts, I realize
It's 4 posts.
And it's individual, it's hydraulic over, electric over hydraulic.
It is, well, it's hydraulic, but it's
You have electric pump that pumps the
right.
hydraulic.
And it's
fluid.
battery powered. It's not, plug it in the wall. They're all
It's not a
individual battery.
plug-in wall?
No, they're all
All right.
battery powered.
All right, does this leave the rear wheels, you say it's 2 for tandem wheels in the back. Are they loose or are they setting on there?
And that's actually kind of the option we were just talking about. This lift will actually hoist both tires on a dual axle. So
All right, at one, then it's a drive-on type hoist.
the vehicle, you drive the vehicle in and you
Yeah.
slide the.
You
the
slide a
lift.
rack underneath and then
and you
you
can lift
pick
it
up
up.
the back
Yeah.
end. All right, that's good for a truck.
And why is the reason you want it to be DC powered as opposed to AC?
Again, I think the portability aspect was the consideration.
You
If
can
we
put it
do,
any place then.
yeah, if you do need to go somewhere else with it, which normally you wouldn't,
Bolt
but
it and
yeah,
take it
you
someplace
just
else.
go.
Okay.
And I was concerned, long-term, with one you can plug in the wall, you just plug it in the wall. Presumably, there's no long-term cost. This obviously will, over the years, have some long-term cost to replace the batteries, but they're just they're automobile batteries. There's nothing special about them, so the long-term costs aren't extraordinary.
Right there.
Okay. Based upon that, I'd make a motion to award the contract to Interstate Lift and Equipment Company in amount not to exceed $32,925 for the Patriot brand 18,000-pound capacity lift. Is there a second?
Second.
Anything else in the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. One opposition. Next item is item number 7. It's the report and recommendation, the fuel purchase agreement, the contract award. We went out for bid and for purchasing of fuel, and the city's gonna be able to save $12 per gallon. With Allen Warren Oil Company, we'd go at
What do you see, $12 a gallon?
12 cents. I'm sorry, 12 cents. It's 1 cent over the OPIS rack average rate. So I'd make a motion to award the fuel purchase contract to Allen Warren Oil Company at a cost of 1 cent over the OPIS rack average rate. It's a 1-year contract. Is there a second? Second. On the question? Alderman Wesley.
Yes, it's a 1-year contract.
Last sentence of the memo.
Yeah.
One-year contract date, commencing January 1st.
Front page.
First and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item is item number 8. This is the report and recommendation of GIS System Engineering Contract Award. The committee had previously requested to go out for bid for additional proposals, and do we have those responses?
I'm going to request that this get tabled tonight. We did go out for additional proposals from 3 additional vendors. I received 1 proposal back, and that proposal, I don't know if there was a miscommunication or something, but that proposal didn't entirely follow the scope that was defined. So I'm not willing to present that proposal tonight, so I'm going to ask that it be tabled. I'll retouch base with that vendor, as well as contact the other 2 vendors to see why they didn't submit a proposal, and then we'll come back.
You're
with
gonna
the
prove
next-
us wrong at the next
next
meeting,
month.
right?
So I don't know. We'll see.
I'm guessing on you. All right, so I make a motion to table this item. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Next item is item number 9. As part of the Metro lot, and we will get an update of this next week, but as part of the building of the new train station, Metro requires lighting, platform lighting. Metro originally had said, yeah, no problem, Wooddale, we will help you and we will pay for that. And then as we told them, hey, we're going to be ready this spring to do that, they changed their mind and says, no, we're not going to have the funding available. Currently, we have $50,000 in our budget for platform lighting. As part of a settlement of a defense fund on a class action lawsuit, we're going to get a refund of $25,094.30. Part of that is that money must be used for a capital improvement that's not in the budget. This train station lighting for the platform is not in the budget, so staff is looking to the authority. It's just for information only at this point, or do you want a motion for the purchase of the lights?
You need to make a motion because we got to come up with the additional funding.
Okay,
So if I could,
sure.
additionally, after you put in the 25,000 that we'll get back on this, we have to put up an additional $48,929.93 for a total of $74,024.23 in order to settle this claim. That money has to go towards, as Marshall said, towards a capital projects. The lights is that project. If we add that with the 50,000, that would be 124,000. That could go for the lighting. I propose that the 25,000 we get refunded, as well as $48,929.93 come from the 881,000 redevelopment fund to fund that additional, so that there will be the funding for the 124,024, and that we will comply with the law. Or the
That's your
fund.
motion, I'll second. On the question, with respect to, since Metro's requiring lighting, do they set specifications for the lighting? Because, go ahead.
I have been given a contact name from Metra. I did contact that vendor, and that vendor has faxed over some specs for the lighting. So I am pursuing that. There will be certain approved lights that Metra will approve. So yes, to answer your question.
Yeah, I mean, that's my question, is they tell us, you gotta light it, and then they say, we're gonna fund it, and then they say, you know what, we don't have the money, so you gotta pay for it. And now they're still gonna regulate what we put there? Can we give them the old Italian sign and say, no, we're gonna do what we wanna do with as far as the style of lighting?
I agree. I mean, it's a kind of the same thing, and if you don't mind, Marshall, it's kind of the same thing with the train station. I mean, they didn't give us a dime for that train station. We're building a brand-new train station, okay? We own that train station. We're probably one of the only communities along the Milwaukee Road that's gonna own our own train station, okay? How can they tell us what we can? Is it because it's their land?
Yeah.
Is that
from
what
the
it comes down to?
start,
I knew it.
Every single thing we've done on that train depot design has been reviewed and had to be approved by Metra.
Do they still have an ornamental lighting style, or are they gonna require us to put like, I gotta assume they're still gonna let us do some kind of ornamental lighting
You are
as
correct.
part of
yeah.
it?
Yes, some of the spec sheets that I've received are ornamental type fixtures, correct.
Is it in the vein that we've been doing throughout the city, very style?
They are a,
Brick style, if we don't have to.
they are a traditional style light. I don't know that I will classify them as prairie style, but they are a traditional style light for sure.
I guess, can we check them, are they requiring certain candlelight like specification, and can we do 3 of them in their style that meet their minimum requirements and spend the other money more discretionary?
I think after this meeting tonight, I was kind of waiting to see how this meeting went tonight. I was then going to go back to the vendor and pursue the vendor with the same type of questions you're asking me, to see what we can do out there to incorporate our lighting, as best we can.
And then the last issue is, I'm assuming you'll bring the lights back